Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something many of you probably deal with,
Mm.
how to, really push your English speaking and listening skills forward.
We've been looking through the Happy Talk English Learning podcast and pulled out some really practical
Yeah, and
techniques.
what I liked about HappyTalk.in is how they really focus on the doing part. They seem to get where learners often get tripped up.
Absolutely. So if you've ever felt like you're just spinning your wheels, not seeing progress, or maybe the whole language thing just feels a bit, I don't know, daunting.
Then yeah, this deep dive should really hit the spot for you.
Our aim today isn't just to give you a list. We want to unpack these techniques from HappyTalk.in, the really actionable stuff, so you can actually boost your English, feel more confident, and, speak more fluently.
Think of it as a bit of a shortcut to making your practice really effective.
And the source for all this is the HappyTalk.in English Learning Podcast. What's great is their emphasis on making it feel natural, maybe even enjoyable.
Right, and less stressful,
Mm.
which is huge. So let's dive in. Chapter 1 kicks off with something fundamental, building that confidence.
And they immediately address that feeling, that really common feeling of just being stuck when you try to speak. It's frustrating, isn't it?
Totally. And the big takeaway here isn't about, achieving perfection or knowing every word. It's more about confidence.
Yeah, just being willing to try to keep speaking, even if it's not perfect.
That willingness, that persistence is so important. It changes the whole frame from pass-fail to just exploring.
Exactly. And confidence, as they point out, it's not fixed. It's something you build. You actually develop it through practice.
Every time you open your mouth and speak English, even if it feels clumsy, you're strengthening that muscle. Right.
They bring in a quote from Winston Churchill. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts.
And that really lands well for language learning, where sometimes it feels like you're taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
So what's a practical first step? Something you can do today. HappyTalk.in suggests setting a really small goal.
Like just speak English every day, even for 5 minutes.
Exactly, just 5 minutes. And they even offer free conversation prompts on HappyTalk.in, which is handy if you're thinking, but what would I even talk about?
Okay, that definitely lowers the barrier. So moving on to chapter 2, this focuses on something maybe less glamorous, but really vital, active listening.
Yeah, it often gets overlooked, doesn't it? But listening is really the bedrock for speaking well.
You mean it's not just about hearing the words?
Right. When you're actively listening, you're absorbing how sentences flow, how speakers connect ideas, the pronunciation nuances. It all feeds into your own speaking.
So active listening is like focusing intently on what you hear, breaking it down.
Precisely. You're analyzing how the language is used, the structure, the tone, how words are pronounced. You're not just passively receiving it.
And a key technique they highlight for this is shadowing. Have you tried this?
Oh yeah, shadowing is powerful, especially for pronunciation and getting that natural flow.
So how does it work? You just repeat what you hear.
Pretty much. You listen to someone, maybe a short clip, and then you immediately try to repeat it, mimicking their speed, their rhythm, their intonation as closely as you can.
Okay. And HappyTalk.in suggests using their materials for this.
Right. They lay out some simple steps. First, pick a short audio bit from HappyTalk.in that's, around your level. Maybe slightly challenging, but not overwhelming.
Right. Got to find that sweet spot.
Then you listen really carefully, just one sentence or even a phrase at a time. Focus on the rhythm, the music of it, the tone.
Okay, deep listening first. Get the sound in your head.
Exactly. Then you pause the audio and you repeat it out loud. Try to match the speed, the ups and downs of their voice.
And just do this for a few minutes each day.
Yeah, that's the idea. Consistency over intensity. It seems small, but it adds up.
What's the main benefit? Does it stop you overthinking?
That's a big part of it. It trains your brain to produce the sounds and rhythms more automatically. You get more comfortable speaking without hesitating and analyzing every single word.
They mentioned a student, Priya, who used this.
Yes, apparently she was quite shy about speaking, but shadowing helped her fluency and confidence improve quite a bit, made her sentences flow better.
That's encouraging. Bridging that gap between understanding and actually saying it.
And they connect this to a Stephen Covey quote. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply.
So active listening is about genuinely getting it first before you even think about responding.
Exactly. Which makes your eventual speaking much more natural and connected. It's a fundamental shift.
Okay, let's shift gears to chapter 3. This is about fluency through repetition. Sounds simple, maybe even a bit boring.
Well, it might sound simple, but it's incredibly effective. Repetition is basically how our brains lock things in, right? Especially language.
So by repeating words and phrases over and over,
You're strengthening those neural pathways. It makes recalling them faster, almost automatic.
and HappyTalk.in makes the point that fluency isn't just about knowing tons of words.
No, it's more about using the words you do know quickly and easily, making them readily available.
And repetition helps with that speed and ease.
Precisely. It makes those common phrases feel like second nature, so you're not constantly searching for them.
They share another story about Arjun. He knew words but hesitated a lot.
Yeah, and he found that just repeating common phrases from happytalk.in, like their phrase bank, really helped him cut down on those pauses.
So it smooths things out. What are some specific ways to use repetition?
Well, one is obvious. Just take common phrases. Happytalk.in has lists like, I'm looking forward to it, or what's your opinion, and say them out loud again and again.
Have you imagined using them?
Yeah, try to vary the situation in your head. They also suggest the mirror technique.
Standing in front of a mirror.
Yep. Say a sentence 5 times, watching your mouth. It gives you visual feedback on your pronunciation. Helps with muscle memory, too.
Interesting. What else?
Combine shadowing and repetition. So shadow a sentence, then try saying it yourself without the audio, maybe a few times.
Okay, reinforcing it.
Right. And recording yourself speaking some happy talk in content, then listening back and repeating that. It helps you hear yourself as others do.
That takes a bit of bravery, maybe.
It does, but it's valuable. And crucially, start small. Simple sentences first. Don't try to repeat massive paragraphs right off the bat.
Build up gradually.
Yeah.
Avoid feeling overwhelmed.
Exactly. They bring in Aristotle here. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit.
Connecting repetition to building fluency is a habit. Nice.
And one last tip on repetition. Vary the context. So, if you're practicing, can you help me?
Right.
Say it like you're lost. Say it like you're in a shop. Say it like you need help lifting something.
So it's not just rote memorization. You're making it flexible.
Exactly. You understand how to use it. Okay, chapter 4 moves into something really important for sticking with it. Making practice enjoyable.
Right, because if it feels like a total chore,
Yeah.
you're just not going to keep doing it long term.
The core idea is shifting your mindset. Moving away from this is hard work towards how can I actually have some fun with this?
Because when you enjoy it, you learn better, right? You're more open, more motivated.
Definitely. So how do you make it fun? They suggest things like role-playing, using scripts, maybe from happytalk.in, to act out real-life situations.
Like ordering food or checking into a hotel.
Yeah, exactly. It's low-pressure practice for real scenarios. Another idea is talking about things you genuinely like.
Your hobbies, travel, food.
Whatever you're passionate about. happytalk.in has discussion prompts for that, too. It makes practice feel less like practice and more like just talking.
That makes sense. Using language you actually want to use.
They also suggest playing speaking games, like 20 questions or describing a picture. Apparently, the happytalk.in forums have ideas for these.
Games definitely add an element of fun, take the pressure off.
Or engaging more actively with the happy talk in podcasts or stories. Don't just listen. Maybe summarize them afterwards or discuss them with someone.
Making the content interactive.
Right. Even simple things like changing where you practice. Don't always sit at the same desk. Go outside, move to the kitchen.
Just mixing it up a bit.
And a big one. Celebrate your progress. Acknowledge the small wins. It keeps you motivated.
They mentioned Neha, a student who used role-playing.
Yeah, apparently it totally changed things for her. She started actually looking forward to practicing her English, which is a huge win.
That really shows the power of enjoyment. They quote Einstein, too.
Yes. Creativity is intelligence having fun, linking that playful approach to more effective learning.
Love that. Okay, chapter 5 tackles something we've all experienced. Speaking blocks. That moment you just freeze.
Or you're so worried about mistakes, you just clam up. It's incredibly common.
And the podcast is reassuring here, right?
Yeah.
It says this is normal.
Absolutely. Feeling blocked, being afraid of errors, it's part of the process. The key is realizing that mistakes aren't failures.
They're actually necessary for learning.
Exactly. They're opportunities. So how do you break through those blocks? One technique is if you forget a word, don't just stop. Try to describe it using other words.
Talk around it. Circumlocution.
Right. Keep the conversation flowing. Another suggestion is self-talk.
Just talking to yourself in English?
Yeah. Narrate your day, what you're doing, what you're thinking. It's zero pressure practice.
Okay. Who else?
Use shadowing, but specifically target sentences you find tricky, the ones that often trip you up. Practice them until they feel smoother.
Tackle the hard stuff head on.
And role play those situations that make you nervous. Job interviews, presentations. Use Happy Talked In guides maybe to prepare. Practicing beforehand can really reduce anxiety.
Desensitize yourself a bit?
Kind of, yeah. Staying positive is crucial too. Really notice and celebrate when you do communicate successfully, even in small ways.
Focus on the wins, not just the stumbles.
And of course, push yourself gently into real-life practice. Ordering that coffee, asking for directions, joining the Happy Talks In language exchange.
Take those small risks.
They share Rohan's story. He overcame his fear of mistakes using self-talk and role-playing. It shows these things work.
That's inspiring. And they use a Henry III quote here.
Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Reframing mistakes as valuable feedback.
That's a great mindset shift.
Mm.
Okay, Chapter 6 focuses on speaking partners, the value of practicing with real people.
This is where you really put it all together, isn't it? Applying what you've learned in actual back-and-forth conversation.
But what if you don't know any English speakers?
That's a common issue, and HappyTalk.in offers solutions. Their language exchange platform is a big one.
Connecting you with native speakers and other learners.
Right. People learning your language or just other English learners you can practice with. They also have virtual speaking clubs.
More structured group practice.
Yeah, often a bit less intimidating than one-on-one initially. And of course, if you do have English-speaking friends or family, practice with them.
Don't be shy.
Exactly. While other platforms exist, HappyTalk.in's advantage seems to be that tailored community and the guided prompts they provide. It's focused.
So the main benefits are real-world practice, building confidence.
Absolutely. You're dealing with spontaneous conversation, learning to navigate actual interactions. It builds confidence like nothing else.
And again, mistakes are okay, especially with partners.
Definitely. It should be a supportive space. Everyone's learning. They use a Walt Disney quote here. The difference between winning and losing is most often not quitting.
Keep showing up, keep practicing, even when it feels hard.
Persistence is key, especially when practicing with others. Okay, last chapter, Chapter 7. This introduces effortless learning.
Effortless? Sounds nice. Doesn't mean no work.
Not quite. It's more about making learning feel less like forced effort and more like a natural part of your life. Less stressful, more sustainable.
Okay, so how do you make it feel effortless?
A big part is mindset again. Focusing on progress and enjoyment, letting go of perfectionism. That reduces the mental strain.
Makes sense. What else?
Learning through experience, through immersion, listening to HappyTalk.in podcasts while commuting, watching English shows you enjoy, reading articles online, absorbing the language naturally.
Integrating it into things you already do.
Exactly. And making small changes to your environment. Switch your phone to English, put English labels on things, follow English accounts on social media. Little nudges.
Constant, low-level exposure.
Right. Prioritizing listening like to HappyTalk.in audio and speaking daily, even that self-talk we mentioned becomes part of the routine, not a separate chore.
Celebrating small wins helps here too, right?
Right.
Maybe using a progress tracker if HappyTalk.in has one.
Yes, seeing your progress visually makes it feel more like natural growth rather than hard slog. And keeping practice sessions short and consistent.
Like 15, 20 minutes daily.
Yeah, much more sustainable and often more effective than long, infrequent cram sessions. It feels less daunting, more effortless over time.
They mentioned Mira, who improved just by listening to podcasts and doing self-talk.
Right. It shows how integrating these seemingly small, effortless habits can actually lead to really significant improvements. It's about consistency and immersion.
And the final quote is from B.F. Skinner.
A person who feels appreciated will always do more than what is expected. A reminder to appreciate your own effort and progress. Be kind to yourself in the process.
Okay, so that's a lot of ground covered. We talked about building confidence as the base.
The power of active listening, using techniques like shadowing.
Making repetition work for you to build fluency.
Finding ways to actually enjoy your practice.
Strategies for getting past those speaking blocks.
The huge value of practicing with speaking partners.
And finally, embracing that more natural, effortless approach to learning.
It's a really solid set of techniques, all drawn from the Happy Talk in English Learning podcast, giving you a practical path forward.
We really hope you'll take these ideas and think about which ones you can start using, maybe even today.
Yeah, the focus really is on actionable steps you can take.
And if you want to dig deeper into the resources, the podcasts, scripts, the community, definitely check out HappyTalk.in.
This deep dive hopefully gives you a clear map for making your English learning more effective and hopefully more enjoyable too.
So keep going, keep practicing. Remember, consistent effort using the right strategies really does pay off. You will see improvement.
Which brings us to a final thought for you. Looking at all these techniques, which one could you realistically try incorporating into your routine starting this week? Just pick one, give it a go, and notice what happens.